What do you got? You got the topics this week. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Fun week so far.
Yeah, a lot of news.
Lots of news.
I made sure to shower before I hopped on, because you don't want to smell bad.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like we're not that far from getting a device that transmits smell.
We always think it, everybody thinks, oh, the future is so bright. Remember when VR was the whole thing, but it somehow we're at the same place. It's just TikTok and Instagram. But anyway, we have serious news to cover. We do. All right, what do you want to talk about first?
Well, news of the day basically was a meeting between Trump and Yahoo.
Dude, that was spooky. Because remember what I said last week? And they did it, which was kind of crazy.
Remind me again, what did you say?
I said they'll probably just resettle Gaza, right? They'll just remove all the Gazans and put them somewhere else, the Palestinians. And then
absolutely.
Yeah, and they just did that. They did that crazy plan that was just, spitballing on a podcast. They literally indicated that was the plan.
Trump doesn't like to fuck around. He just says it as is. While the previous president and his administration, they kept saying, "We believe in a two-state solution. We believe in a two-state solution. I believe in a two-state peace for everybody, Palestinians and W. Biden." And
I love that impression. Right, and then Trump just goes, "Yeah, this is uninhabitable.
Yeah.
Very bad what's going on there. It's such a terrible place." Like, well, the person who is in charge of that is right next to you. So, just to let you know.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I don't know if he doesn't get it or he doesn't give a fuck, or I feel like it's a mix of both.
Right, and the way he talked about it, it was like, oh, it's just inevitable. Like, it's like there's fucking volcanoes or something in Gaza or whatever. Not that it was Israel who drops all the bombs. American-made bombs.
Not at all. Yeah, you can't say that. I mean, I don't know what would happen if Trump said that, to be honest. And I wonder sometimes, does he think it when he's alone?
I don't know. I don't think he thinks about this when he's alone. For something tells me he's thinking about other things when his mind is wandering. But, I think Jared Kushner has been in his head for too long, and it's just like, that's the model that he goes off of. Like, oh, this is just inevitable, the Palestine or Gaza is just a place where these things happen. Who knows why? I don't know. It's kind of crazy. You know
what's also crazy? Speaking of Jared, even though Trump seems like, he's not a big fan of trans people, Jared, out of all people, I would doubt that he might be a trans person. Yeah, do you see
really?
Like, just take a look at him.
He looks like an old psychologist I used to have, in a way. He wasn't Jewish, the psychologist, but he just has that sort of face.
Oh, I didn't know Jared Kushner was Jewish. Interesting.
He is, yeah. He wears the yarmulke a lot.
Oh, I guess.
Or does he? Now that I'm looking on the DuckDuckGo images, and I can't find any pictures of him in a yarmulke.
You might be thinking of Ben Shapiro.
He is also one of those people. But no, Jared Kushner is Jewish. I swear.
No, I think you're right. I think Jared Kushner is Jewish. I just had no idea. So anti-Semitism card already gone. So.
Yeah, that's
exactly.
Good. You had no idea. Can't be blamed for anything now.
They'll find ways and ways and ways and ways.
I searched in page on his Wikipedia. Yes, raised a modern Orthodox Jewish family. He graduated from the Fish School.
From the Fish School?
Yes, the FISCH. Very Jewish name right there.
SCH. I thought you said FISH. Like,
yeah.
What the fuck? He's a fish?
No, not the Fish School.
So now we have a fish. We have a lizard. Mark Zuckerberg.
Oh, very lizard-like. Yeah, the more I learn about politics, the more I'm like, yeah, maybe the lizard thing is right. Not really, but like you can definitely see how you can get that impression from certain politicians that they're lizard people. Whatever they are, they're not normal.
No, they don't look normal, and they do weird shit.
Yes, they do weird shit. It's kind of, again, it's kind of crazy. But yeah, I think Jared Kushner's been in his ear for too long, talking about Israel. I don't even know if Jared Kushner's a fan of Israel, but I remember that kind of in the annals of my mind that he likes Israel. But you also have Miriam Adelson, who's been giving Trump a lot of money. Certainly been in his ear about these issues.
Yeah, I gave him what, 100 million, like it's nothing.
I know. Yeah, Elon, and then it's dwarfed by Elon's 250 million.
Elon gave him 250 million.
Yes, that's what he contributed to the campaign. That's why he's in the position he's in.
Well, I guess for Musk, it's like, I don't know, maybe like 2,000 for.
That would be a good question. It's with these rich people, you never really know, like, if that's real money or if that's like pretend stock market company valuation money. And I think Elon is like in reality broke because he doesn't own any businesses that make money.
He's heavily subsidized too.
Oh yeah, totally. SpaceX heavily subsidized. There's a great YouTuber who doesn't like Elon Musk, but anyway, he pointed out that SpaceX charges like 3 times what the Russians used to charge America to use their rockets, since NASA got defunded. Right, we used to hitch a ride on Russian rockets, and we were getting price gouged, and it was still, a third of the price of what Elon Musk is charging for SpaceX rockets.
Wow. And keep in mind, he recycles his rockets, at least the ones that make it, and I think there are plenty that made it. So, yeah.
Indeed, but like you hope that would make it cheaper at some point, but it just could. Yeah, but it doesn't. It's not. And rocketry is not it's not a profitable business. Like, literally, all you can do is put Starlink up there, and that's it. The space tourism is not a real thing. Well, maybe it is, but I don't think that's gonna pay for itself in any sort of, because it's just so expensive to get things into space. And same with Tesla. Tesla doesn't, or they kind of make money, but they lost money for a long time. Twitter doesn't make money, almost never has, and he overpaid for it.
Yeah.
So I don't know how this man has this money, really. Like, where does it come from? I have no idea.
I think it comes from his head. He's a very intelligent man, I have to say. He's extremely intelligent. I think he is.
Is he?
He's
But he's also like, he's many things.
I think, but I think he's very manipulative too, and his intentions. Yes. I think you could see his intentions in bits here and there in his interviews, which I used to listen to a lot, but for different reasons recently, I'm not following him much. I think he's being blackmailed. Just like Professor Finkelstein says, he says, we all have skeletons in the closet, and that's when he talks about the South African judge Sabutendi, which she, I'm not sure. I think she is the current IC. No, she. I'm pretty sure she's a member of the ICJ, one of the judges. But she is a fierce defender of Israel. She was probably blackmailed, just like Goldstone was blackmailed into withdrawing his report. And they're both judges. Goldstone. The situation with Goldstone, as I understand it, is that he was a judge, I believe, at the ICJ. He published a report called, let's see. It's called the Goldstone Report, actually.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
And his findings were so shocking that it must have had him blackmailed, just like, or his daughter or something. And after that, he withdrew the report, or basically said, my findings are not accurate, blah, blah, blah. And that didn't help save his career. He was done. Just like Jeremy Corbyn. I mean, they're still out there, but it's it's sort of it's a weird way of it's just a weird way of silencing voices because in the historical records that becomes a almost like a fact, and this is how history is being written right now by the victors basically. So if you argue with somebody who's pro-Israel and you tell him about the Goldstone report, he could say, well, he said that he was wrong about a lot of his conclusions and he had to go through it. So you're using like, is that, and there, this is a way of gaslighting, of course.
Yeah, and what does Chomsky call it?
Manufacturing consent.
Yes, thank you. Manufacturing consent. Yeah, I think you make a good point there. But with Elon Musk, it's like, it's hard to believe that anyone's blackmailing him because the man literally Zeke-Heiled. Like, he's doing the blackmailing, I guess. It's like the Breaking Bad meme. Like, I'm the one who knocks, Elon is the one who blackmails. Because it's so hard to imagine, like, having anything over that guy. Because he's such he's a Teflon figure. He's just bulletproof like Trump. No matter what they do, they still have their defenders. They still have their fans. And in fact, it's the fact that they break norms and laws that is the reason people like him.
I think it speaks of the despair and hopelessness that people feel about politics these days.
Yeah, there's certainly a lot of that too. I don't know how average people feel about politics. I must say, being in a liberal city, I don't really have many Elon fans around me, so I don't really know what they're thinking. But I do know of one tech guy who's a big Elon fan. But that's for tech reasons, right? And Elon's tech also sucks. The other thing about the guy is he lies so much. He's said so many things that are just not true. He said they'd have the Tesla Semi by now. They don't. He said that you'd be able to live on Mars by 2025. We're here. It's not happening. SpaceX was behind schedule and all sorts of stuff. He has verifiable lies in a lot of this stuff. And this is kind of why he's so rich. Because he can lie with numbers in a way that Wall Street just doesn't care to check. So he can say, "Oh yeah, we're gonna revolutionize the trucking industry," and then reap the stock market rewards, and then come 2 years later, nobody on Wall Street who bought that stock bothers to check if he's actually done that. Yeah, Elon's a piece. I don't like him much because he's a scammer more than anything. He's a con man, and he's conned his way to being the right hand man, more powerful than JD Vance. It's like, what's the point of this?
He does feel like he's the vice president, that's for sure.
Oh, it feels like he's the president. He makes more news than Trump does.
I mean, the last time I saw JD Vance was at the inauguration. Honestly, I don't remember seeing him after that.
Yeah, his name has not been in the news. He's not done, well, I mean, maybe he has done something, but he has not been picked up on. Nobody's talking about JD Vance anymore.
No, actually, he's almost forgotten. Elon Musk's role right now is kind of an advisor to the president.
Yeah, he has some special designation, right?
Yes. I don't exactly remember what that is.
Let's see. So this is what JD Vance has been up to, according to whitehouse.gov. Yeah, JD Vance doesn't even have his own page. Yeah, there's nothing about JD here. It's all about Trump. And it's he's being Kamala. That's what's happening to JD Vance right now.
Yeah, I agree. He does remind me of Kamala right now.
It was wow, that's kind of a racy pick. And then does nothing.
I mean, he's got his privileges now and is probably influencing decision making, but I feel like Trump and along with Elon Musk are doing enough to keep the people. It's like a show, right? If you have 3 shows and people watch 2 of them the most, then the producers will slowly start to lose hope in the 3rd show, and eventually they might cancel it, or at least just put it on the back burner. You know what, you're good, but we're not good enough to play, so just keep warming up, kind of thing.
So is Elon gonna replace JD? Is that what you're saying?
I think Musk is trying to be the de facto president by his ability to influence huge numbers of people, a lot of people.
Yeah, and owning Twitter.
Owning Twitter is part of it, definitely. You know, Twitter has become a weird place. You know, you have the bots thing on one end, which is literally Musk by his own admission that Twitter or X. And the other thing about choosing the name X, by the way, I think has something to do with it. It's just not unnatural to say, well, I X'd today. I tweeted today. You know what I mean? I can understand it. So people still use the word tweet and sometimes Twitter. In his tweet on X, you see?
I do. I don't even use Twitter and I call it Twitter.
It's, but apparently it's not the same. So he changed it.
Right. The other dumb thing about changing Twitter from Twitter to X is that, like, tweet was one of those, like, there's a fancy linguistics word, but, like, you know how everybody says Kleenex when they mean just like a tissue paper, even though Kleenex is a brand? Like, Twitter was that for social media. Like, whatever you were putting on social media, you'd say, oh, I was tweeting it, right? Everybody said they were tweeting. Like, it was like Google giving up the Google search engine, right? Even though everybody Googles stuff, even if you're using a different search engine. And he just like, oh yeah, well, let's change the name to X. We're Xing. Like, did you think about this for a minute? Like, how is that going to roll off the tongue? It doesn't. It's the dumbest shit I've ever heard.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of sounds like a porn website.
It does. Yeah, it does. You're right, because X is like has a history with that, and when you're talking about the
exactly.
internet,
like
media.
As a kid, I didn't even know the word porn, so I would type in Google like XXX, and I know like I would see some tits or something.
How did that even start? But that's kind of funny. Triple X. X is like it used to be a real rating that a movie could get, but it's not anymore. I don't think it got replaced with NC-17, which nobody makes NC-17 movies anymore. But whatever.
What's that? I'm not.
You know, like how movies have different ratings, like R and PG and PG-13.
Dude, I can never understand those. Like, I don't even know if like PG is good for kids or not. I have no idea.
I think G is something that kids can watch on their own. PG is something that they can watch with their parents because it stands for parental guidance. And then PG-13 is you still need your parent there, but you should also probably be 13 to watch this.
Oh, okay.
And then R for restricted, and then you can't get into the movie unless you're 18, which is some bullshit. And then beyond R is NC-17, which is basically dead because nobody does that anymore. But the thing with R is that you can watch it if you're under 18 if you have a parent with you, right? But NC-17, no one is allowed into the movie theater unless you're 17. But this is all made irrelevant because of the internet. And you know what that came from, actually? Movie ratings used to be perpetuated by something called the Catholic League of Decency, which was a Hollywood thing.
Okay. Hollywood?
So that's where movie ratings came from, is from the Catholic Legion of Decency. I think it's League or Legion or something. But
interesting.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Anyway. But Twitter definitely X-rated. I don't know, actually.
But hey, thanks for the code, man. I mean, I've never heard of NC-17.
Yeah, it's not really a thing. Like, there's 2 NC-17 movies I can think of. But, I'm looking at JD Vance in the news here, and the first thing that comes up is about his half-brother running for the Cincinnati mayorship. And here's what Vice President JD Vance just told believers about Trump's religious freedom plans. And then another thing about his brother, half-brother. And then he visited East Palestine 2 days ago. So that's what JD Vance has been up to.
Wait, what was he doing 2 days ago?
He visited East Palestine, Ohio, where the train cars derailed and spilled vinyl chloride all over a town.
Oh, I see.
That was 2 years ago. Jesus Christ. Time flies.
That's like the only accident that nobody tweeted pray for Palestine or East Palestine. Because people don't want to be misunderstood, man.
Yeah, literally.
Exactly. It's like, yeah, we like you guys. You're cool. We know you're not the same, but we'll skip you this time.
It's kind of funny that it happened to East Palestine, though. Is it spelled the same?
I think so.
Yeah, it is spelled the same.
It is.
It's literally Palestine.
Like, hey, Israel, come take a look. It's actually here. Leave these people alone.
Norfolk Southern just, we know where they stand.
Yeah.
Yeah, that train disaster sucked. That was pretty bad. Anyway.
What happened? So there was like some coal on it or oil or something?
It was vinyl chloride, which is a highly volatile and toxic and flammable chemical used in plastics manufacturing. That was, just a whole train of that coming through. And it just fell off the rails and it lit on fire.
Shit. Sounds healthy.
Burnt a whole bunch of vinyl chloride all over the town and spilled a lot more of it into the groundwater and everywhere. It was pretty bad.
Damn. That train literally ethnically cleansed the town.
It might have. I don't know what's going on there anymore, but yeah, if you just gotta leave at that point. But the problem is, like, all those people bought houses. And if they all leave, their houses aren't worth anything, and that's like their whole life savings and the whole American dream that they have to give up. So you got to make it work where you're at, because you're gonna give up everything if you don't. That's what's tough about it.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much land. I guess we want to be close to the fun, but it's just atrocious, and the quality of the building is even more atrocious. It's crazy, honestly. I keep hearing about people having difficult times, and it's like it wasn't like this. And when you see these people donating, like, oh yeah, hey Trump, here's like 250 million. Yeah, you bet, bro. Take care. Like, use it wisely. I mean, I don't know. It's like, okay, they gave him 250 million, but where did the money go? I mean,
ads. Yeah, that's a good question.
I want to bet you Netanyahu took it.
It's campaign finance, though. Like, you can't take it like that. It's campaign finance is odd because, like, you can accept as much money, but you can't use it for your own gain. But you can give it to other politicians, but not Israeli ones. And you can also run up a debt, as the Cornell campaign did, as we know. But Kamala Harris also ended her campaign in debt somehow. So campaign finance is a whole thing.
Wow. I don't know about that. I thought they made a lot of money. Because they did say for Kamala it was about, 400 million donations?
Oh, much more than that, I'm sure. Let's see. Let's look at Forbes here. Yeah, here Harris outraces Trump by nearly 5-1. Yeah. As of the writing of this article, November 4th. $997.2 million. Yeah, and it's just down the drain. Wow. And, like, she doesn't even have a war chest. That's the thing. Like, it's all gone. And even more than that, because it was debt.
She's like a huge contributor to the fucking inflation.
Yeah, the inflation TV ads for sure in Pennsylvania. I bet those were expensive as shit during the late summer.
Wow. It's no wonder the public offices usually almost gets bullied into accepting the like when they hire private contractors to do the work. If you come from another private company, you have a different price than if you came from the government. It's like they multiply it by 10 immediately. And then if you say, hey bro, what the fuck, they'll be like, well, that's our price if you want it. If not, have a good day. And many times they get beat into submission by the private subs.
Yes, that's especially true in the military. They overpay for everything over there.
It's the only industry that nobody fucks with.
Yeah, because they're all getting money. They're all making bank from that overprice.
It's not just that. It's that they literally have all the guns.
Oh yes, also that. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm very cynical. I'm very cynical, to be honest.
Well, I mean, we're right to be cynical. The most cynical people were right this election for sure about where things were going. It's just a shame they didn't have, an alternative. The Democrats were right about Trump. I hate to admit that he was gonna do dictator on day one stuff, and he did. And all they had in response was Harris. Like, that's it, and not even a bigger promise. Like, if it was so important, did you just want to lie a little bit or like do something to win? Because they ran that election terribly. But anyway, that's rehashing old bygones. But it sucks.
The Democratic Party became such an alien to almost everybody. It's like, probably truth can be said about the Republican Party, but it's because the standards we had for the Democrats were initially a little bit, but they came out swinging with lies and lies and lies.
In Israel, that also did him in. Yeah, it's tough, and like the Democrats are just like lost. They've lost their hegemony, right? Like nobody's really a Democrat anymore. Like some people are, but all the Democrats are cranks now.
They have like a case of like mass delusions. Like they're all on, yeah. They remind me of this. There was a story in Australia. And I kid you not, it's called the Trump family. Tromp. Yeah.
Trump. Yeah, that's funny.
This family suffered from like, what is it? Contagious hallucinations or something. They called it something. I don't exactly recall. Where they just picked up and left and started driving and left everything at the house. Yeah, and they kept driving and driving, people looking for them. And then they found them in the middle of the road. I think they had their car parked and they were just staring in a weird way. It's a little terrifying, to be honest, of a story. Like, but yeah, I feel like the Democrats kind of have a similar thing where they just believe that by saying like we like LGBTQ people, or they push these things that on the surface they're progressive, they have an element of hope in them, and they lie their way out of problems instead of fixing them. They make up realities, and they're like that Leonardo DiCaprio in Shutter Island, in my books at least. So
yeah, you kind of hit the nail on the head. They're too caught up in rhetoric. They're too caught up in saying the thing, and that's hard. It's hard to say things in politics and have it matter, as we know. I don't know. They can't change anything. They're not willing to do that because they're, for a lot of reasons. I think one of them is that they wanted to believe that they were right. Because Obama was pretty powerful at the time. America was willing to move and change for him. And it did in many ways, but it wasn't enough. And it's hard for a lot of those people who were around during that time to realize that it wasn't. Especially hard for Obama himself. And he's written many books making many excuses as to why that didn't work. But he just needs to look inward, really, as everyone does. And I get that he was trying his best at the time, but if you were deluded, you gotta say so. If it didn't work, you gotta just admit that. Or get out of the way and let someone else do it.
Yeah, it's the ego that keeps them, I guess.
Yeah, it is. Anyway, what other stories do you want to cover?
Well, Netanyahu had a very an interesting present, I guess. A reminder of a victory over a long feared enemy. He gave him a golden pager. They said they gave him two. But he gave him two.
Yeah, I don't even know what to make of that. But I mean, I guess that would be like Netanyahu's such an odd man. That is such a weird and cryptic thing of him to do.
It's for two reasons. I think the most maybe the top two reasons I would say is, number one is to a show off to for the domestic audience. this boosts his popularity in inside Israel. Doing something like this, this is seen as like a macho move. A funny, like, you see what he did? Yeah, fuck. It's like, it's one of these things.
That's insane. Where do you even get a golden pager? Somebody had to do that. Like, you have to plan this well in advance. He's sitting there like, I can't speak Yiddish, but I'll just do his accent. Now, Jared, you must construct a golden pager to give our great ally Donald Trump during our meeting that we will have in a few weeks. Like, you have to like plan that well in advance. That's kind of crazy. And I see quite a few reports of it, so I believe that, especially the Jerusalem Post.
Yeah, and by making it, I think golden he does two things. The first one, that will make
Trump loves gold.
Exactly, and that means Trump will not get rid of it. He'll probably put it in his office or something.
Oh God! Oh no!
Oh yeah.
We need follow up. Somebody leak pictures of the golden page.
I bet you it'll be in his office. Yeah.
I'm calling Russia. I know you have it. Oh God! Doesn't Netanyahu have prostate cancer?
That's what I heard. And that he had a surgery and they removed his prostate. I'm not sure if that means he's getting hormonal treatment, but definitely shows behaviors of such side effects.
I just don't get why any of these people won't die. They keep on living. I don't understand how or why. They don't deserve it. The good die young. That's for sure.
That's true. Yeah, in a lot of cases, yeah. I mean, how old is he? Is he 70 or 75 or?
Let me look this up. I don't even know how to spell his. It's NETNAZI. Okay, I misspelled it, but DuckDuckGo got it anyway. 75 years old.
75
is how old Bench. Like, just retire, all of you people. Seriously.
No. I mean, definitely not. He's been an active and a very influential personality, I would say, in the Israeli, and he was always an extremist. He was always an extremist, but he understands how to control people. He understands, and just like a lot of politicians are like that. They know what to say. They know how. And honestly, I think part of it is that they believe in what they say. Israelis have this obsession of annexing more land. It's like that's all they think about.
Yeah, ideologies are simple. That's what makes an ideology. They present a key to the future and an interpretation of history and a plan for the present, all upon one neat guiding principle. But they're almost always wrong because that's not how any of that works. The life in society is much more dynamic than that. You can't boil it down so much. But in order to be popular, you have to believe in some sort of ideology. Complexity does not carry weight at all. People want something that they can grasp if they want to give you the keys to the future. So I think it just selects for these very simple people with a tremendous willingness to believe in themselves or what they choose with unwavering, uncritical sort of buy-in and true belief.
Yeah. You have the corrupt ones and you have the ones who want to have a legacy.
I mean, I think all their legacies are going to be grim. And I think there's some support for that. Because remember, Henry Kissinger died and everyone was like, wow, this guy was terrible. Even the people who liked him, or the people who you wouldn't think. Like, it was more of a widespread consensus that Henry Kissinger was bad than you think. And I think a lot of these politicians, it's like once they die, people are like, wow, that guy sucked, didn't he? Right, but they couldn't say it at the moment.
Well, yeah. No, and that's what he's fighting for. He's fighting to, I mean, at this case, he was being, and still is taken to court. I guess I saw that he had a hearing, and I'm pretty sure that has something to do with the court hearing too. He's an excellent opportunist.
Yeah.
And I think boosting his popularity inside Israel will definitely affect the judicial process. No question about that. Yeah.
Certainly. I think it's fleeting. I think if any of these people die, and just how weird it is to think that Biden or Netanyahu or Trump will die at some point. They will, some point soon, relatively speaking. But Netanyahu will not be a favorably viewed figure in death and in history. That will certainly not be the case. Not even in Israel. I don't see how it could be. And he was corrupt before October 7th, and October 7th happened on his watch, and then a genocide. Like I don't see how that you recover from that. So if he's doing it for legacy, he's just deluded. He'll never have a good legacy. He will be the scum of the earth, and everyone knows it. That's his fate. And it's done now. There's nothing he can do about it. And that's one positive thing, I suppose.
But he's he has a vision, and this is what Israel is about. You cannot have your ethnically pure state. You got to convince yourself that God gave you this, but underneath all of that is a very simple fact. They have the support of the United States, and they say it. It just doesn't show on media in the West in general.
Yeah.
But they say it every time they want to threaten an Arab country. They'll say, "We have the support of America. Don't forget."
Right, and it's like, what does that really mean? Like, how can a nation be proud of that they're a client state effectively? Like I don't get. Like, you didn't do that yourself. That's like it's like Donald Trump himself having a small loan of $1 million. Like, you were raised on top. You didn't earn that. Any security that Israel has, they didn't earn through their own diplomacy. No, they bought it with guns and blood from America. I don't get how you can be proud of that.
To them, it's we're using America to achieve our dream, our God promise. They I don't think they give a shit or two about America. They take America for granted, and they prove that over and over and over again. I mean, I don't understand how it can get beyond what happened to the Gaza Strip in the past for 12, 16 months.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's ever thought that was gonna happen. No, because I mean, to do this, you gotta remember, in all the previous massacres, Israel would kill a couple thousand people, 1,000 children or 500 or something like that. And of course, the whole world will condemn and protest, go out, but this time, it was now or never. Number one. Number two, they don't want to wait until the population of Gaza is 5 million, and then 10 million, and then 20 million, and then 40 million. They're not, they're going to become, it's physically, the concentration camp of Gaza will physically push the walls built around it. Eventually, it has to. It's a matter of physics. And there's a sea, and there's Egypt. So, what do? They do something like October 7th. You use that to, to the point where everybody knows you're committing genocide, ethnic cleansing, crimes against humanity, targeting medics, journalists, children, women, elderly, disabled people. I said journalists, hospitals, medical centers, doctors. They've kidnapped tens, if not hundreds, of medical staffs, if not thousands, actually, in Gaza. Torture, rape. They live streamed the rape.
Yeah.
The initial days when they were targeting a hospital every day, a new hospital, killing, dropped this 1,000 and 2,000 bomb, and then they dropped I don't know how many of them when they killed Hassan Nasrallah in Beirut. They said 85 or 83 tons in 10 seconds. they can attack UN. And I want to say something, by the way. All the bullshit about the UN, it's a pure fabrication. And let's say one of the UN employees was a Palestinian who was associated in a way or the other with Hamas. There's two things to consider that they never tell you. The first one is, when they say they deal with Hamas, the UN will deal with the Ministry of Health. The elected government is the party of Hamas. Naturally,
right, I know.
That government will employ the secretaries, basically, the ministers. So, how are you supposed to deliver aid? You think they just should drop it from the air like they did while they committed the genocide?
I mean, it's a total trap because, again, they didn't hold elections in Gaza because, you got to think of Gaza as like a Native American reservation, right? Like, it's still, Israel controls it, but it's self-governing in a way, right? And Israel didn't hold elections to elect anyone else but Hamas. And there were times when Hamas was unpopular and you probably could have gotten a new government in there, but if that's not what they wanted. They didn't want someone to work with them. They just wanted it gone.
I mean, it's a plan since the beginning, and it's working. Believe it or not, whether it's working because they did, it's regardless of how the process was, the outcome is what it is. Nobody's stopping it, and you don't even. It's not the same media about it anymore. It's being outlawed. University heads of universities have been forced to resign. ICJ judges.
Yeah, but everyone sees it, right? Like, all those things, they suck, and it's in many ways pretty bad. But they never replaced the truth. They simply silenced it for a time. But the truth is still out there. Like, those who know, and a lot of people know. More people 100%. Than even we think are aware of what's going on, and just how corrupt and insane it makes everyone look. So that'll be worth something. It has to be. Eventually.
Yeah. I mean, eventually, it requires a defeat, and this cancerous state is they have the it will take a military defeat for Israel to stop being insane.
It will. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, and that's the thing that October 7th did. They you can see the fear. Like, they're so scared. They're so scared because they know they're thieves.
Yeah, I bet they do. Yeah, I mean, given all that, I almost feel bad for just any everyday Israeli, someone of our age who was just born into this. Or, well, I guess we're kind of different ages, but someone who didn't choose this, and then you're on that side of history. Of course, I feel even worse for the people in Gaza who have to bear the brunt of all this. But, I mean, again, it goes to show that these elites are they're cancerous, every single one of them. They're going to drive everyone insane eventually.
Yeah. Because
they keep making everyone the bad guy, It's unsustainable. And, I don't know what it is, and it's not new at all, but we just got to do something. We got to figure out a different way to organize society and do government, because this is crazy. This is crazy, and everybody realizes it. There's no frame of reference by which this is normal or should be in any way encouraged or should even have gotten this far. But it keeps happening again and again and again throughout history. Things go way too far. We can't just hit pause or stop or just take a breath.
100%. And Israel uses the fact that they were targeted in a genocide before as a shield. That's the truth.
It is. It's true. That's exactly the justification for it. And that's a justification for the state of Israel in the first place. Because the theory at the time was that things got so bad for the Jews in Europe because they didn't have a state to protect them. Or they didn't have a state to go back to. They were stateless people who were kind of just in and amongst other populations, and then that happened to them. And now they've done the same to the Palestinians. They've made the Palestinians stateless. They've done that. Like, the Palestinians don't have a government to look out for them. It's just Israel, right?
Pretty much.
And what's even crazier about that is that the Palestinians were the one who had to pay for Europe's anti-Semitism by giving up their territory unwillingly to these settlers so that they could have a state, so this could never happen again, and then it just happened again by them, right?
Life sometimes feels like a game of PUBG, to be honest.
Yes, it does. It feels it's a farce. The future is a farce. That's why I named the podcast that.
The future is farce?
Yes, I call it future farce.
Nice.
Because it all just comes, if you think about it long enough, it all just becomes a big joke. A very big, sad joke.
Yeah. Yeah. It is a joke. It is a joke. It is. It is a joke that we participate in. So much so that we believe it. It's like one of my friends was telling me today, he was like, man, the money is just the value that we agree that it's worth something. Oh, yeah. But in reality, it doesn't.
The value of the world stock markets is routinely well over world GDP. You know? Like, the actual product that we make is not as worth as much as the stock market, right? It's all a joke. Money's a joke. That's why I don't get mad at people for just doing the stock market. You know, it's like, whatever. It's made up. They know it's made up. At least there's no pretenses here. Like, just get rich off of this pretend graph, you know? Who am I to say no, you know?
And it's worked for the longest, but like you said, it's not sustainable.
No, it'll crash. It won't be my fault, but it will be my problem. But at least I can say I told you so.
Hey, well, at least you prepared something to say in your defense. So.
Yeah, exactly. My defense is I had nothing to do with this. This is your fault. Deal with it. I'll be fishing. That's my excuse.
Yeah, I mean, it's like nowadays, like, well, maybe it's a good thing life goes by so fast because I don't want to be here a lot longer.
Well, yeah, life does go by, but I don't know. There's plenty outside of politics that's worth living. I think the world's pretty amazing. Nature, that's pretty cool. I could just live in that if I was allowed to.
I mean, I think you're allowed to. You can go buy some. A lot of people are buying up farms nowadays. But I guess that price went up. It used to be a little cheaper.
Oh, yeah.
To buy like a remote land somewhere.
You can still buy remote land somewhere. You just can't do a lot with it. I've looked at that before. I'm like, man, let's go out here into was it Pend Oreille County or something? Out in way eastern Washington by like Lake Pend Oreille and the Pend Oreille River. That's some really beautiful territory. And that's cheap land too. I found like the county has like standard 20-acre lots that are divvied up, and they're only like $50,000, and that's like a mountain lot, and you get a river view.
Nice,
pretty sweet.
You know, your kids will thank you one day because that's gonna be worth a shit ton of money.
You know, yep, they might if I actually do it.
You should. I know a guy who lives out in Wenatchee, and he lives. In Wenatchee over the weekend. He's building his own house or something. He's an electrician too, so retired. Yeah. So he knows a thing or two about building and electricity, and he does a damn good job. He's very smart, and he's nice thing about him was he's so smart. But if somebody else says something right, even if they're like way his junior, he would think about it, and if you're right, he'll say, yeah, actually you're right. He doesn't have... Yeah.
That's good.
Very humble. But anyway, he lives in Wenatchee, and he stays with his girlfriend during the week where he works, because it's closer. And then he goes back to Wenatchee. When I was asking him, I was like, man, why do you live there? And he said he has so many acres, something, number of acres. And then he said, well, man, I don't like living by people. I just don't like people.
Maybe when you're old. That's my thing. Like, I could like afford to buy a house in like Aberdeen or something, but I don't want to live in Aberdeen. You know, I like being around all the people in the big city. Even though they drive me crazy sometimes, but you got plenty of stuff out here. You got concerts and just the music of it all, the art of it all, the food. Oh, it's so good. It's so enriching, to live out in Wenatchee. I don't know. I'd struggle. I do like watching football alone, but that's a bit too much.
Well, you register your favorite team, Seahawks?
Yeah, I am a Seahawks. I wore Seahawks pajamas pants to work today, underneath my normal work pants, but I did have them.
You think we'll win the Super Bowl again?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
2027, 2028. That's if they're gonna win it, it'll be one of those 2 years.
Should get back home.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to win a Super Bowl.
Somebody's gonna do it,
but somebody's got to do it. Thanks for listening to Future Farce. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. I keep forgetting to say that. And, the algorithm does not appreciate me for it, so I'll have to do that. Any last words?
Nah, that's it. I'm good.
Great. All right, we'll see you next time.